Banks to extend the mortgage holiday beyond September. Let's have a look. Good morning, everyone. Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I'm working through my first stein of coffee for the day, and I thought I'd have a look at this article from the ABC because it's discussing the banks. You know those nice organizations in their advertisements where they're all happy and friendly and nice to us? They're actually extending their mortgage holidays. Now, there's a lot of concern that in September, these mortgage holidays would disappear. And, we've read articles about, which shocked me, about professionals. Professionals. There's one on the ABC, of course. Project manager, warehouse manager. A PM would reasonably be on six figures or above, if they're any good, particularly the age of the person shown in the article. And they were depending on the good graces of the bank. The good graces of the bank to keep them in their house on the mortgage holiday. It seems to be, it really does, that having a reserve, it's never mentioned, having a emergency fund, 6 months of payment set aside, is never mentioned, not in one article that we've looked at. Is that because it's blaming the victim? And I need a shot of coffee. Let me know in the comments. Why not? Is it just because, well, people don't even think about it these days, because the state will come and take care of you. The banks will defer your repayments. All these responsibilities, it doesn't matter. And we wonder why we've got a generation of snowflakes duct taping themselves to the road. More worried about people eating a cow than actually getting a job. Well, let's have a look at this one. Banks to extend mortgage loan deferral to customers still struggling with the pandemic restrictions. Bank customers still struggling financially due to the pandemic will be given another 4 months to start paying back their loans. However, banks have warned extensions will not be automatic for any customer who can afford to start repaying their mortgage or business loan will be expected to do so once the initial 6-month deferral period expires in September. So, does this mean we won't see the forced foreclosures that some people are anticipating? Is this just another thing that's going to keep that property market going? People won't have to pay the price. What do you think, everyone? And what happens when this 4 months is up? Will they extend it another 4 months, another 4 months? Or are they giving more people more of an opportunity to sell on their terms? If you get through this 6 months and you can't meet your payments, would you take another 4-month holiday, or would you try and sell? And then would you get a nasty surprise if, well, perhaps, I'm just going to adjust the camera here, perhaps you are in negative equity. The Australian Banking Association Chief Executive, Anna Bligh, said more than 800,000 people had deferred repayments during the coronavirus pandemic. Well, maybe, Miss Bligh, when you were the Premier of this good state here in Queensland, if you reduce the burden the state placed on its citizens, maybe they wouldn't need to have nearly, so many people deferring their mortgages. That may just have been an idea. Today, banks are announcing the next stage of this support, which will be specifically targeted to getting people back on repayments while continuing to help those hardest hit, she said. This new phase of support avoids a cliff, which would have been a terrible outcome for customers and had a negative impact on the economy. Concerns have been raised about an economic cliff in September, with the end of the loan deferral period expected to coincide with the scheduled withdrawal of federal government support measures, including the JobKeeper wage subsidy and the JobSeeker coronavirus supplement. So they're looking at, well, we've discussed this in many videos, the economic cliff appearing in September, the potential impact it's going to have on property and other parts of the economy. JobKeeper disappearing, and then all these zombie companies just folding. Which in some ways, I know it's cruel, but it has to happen. It has to happen. Are they just going to keep kicking the can down the road, everyone? What's this going to do for future generations? We've got a bubble in property. We have a bubble in property. If you compare it to the average wages of people, it's definitely, well, quite high. All these boomer experts in property, it's a different world now. It really is. You definitely need two people working to even get a foot in the door in property. And this is the thing, I think Australia is so property obsessed, and I've said it before, they're going to chuck everything they can at the at property. Every single thing they can do. The ABA said longer deferrals were not in the interest of people who could start paying their loans back, and people who were still experiencing financial difficulties will be contacted towards the end of the 6-month period to work out whether they could restructure or vary the loan. That includes extending the length of the loan, converting to interest-only payments for a period of time, or consolidating their debt. I mean, these are all things that should be done anyway, to be honest. Well, definitely consolidating your debt. There are advantages to it. I know as a small business person, it's quite frustrating how hard it is, just because the challenge, we're not as simple as just employees. It was easier for one of my staff to get a home loan than it was for me. You know, and I thought it was quite funny. It was a little depressing, but I thought it was quite funny. Where these arrangements are not in place at the end of a 6-month deferral, customers will be eligible for an extension of their deferral of up to 4 months, Ms. Bly said. Customers will be expected to work with their bank during this extra time to find the best solution for them. So that's what I was saying. We'll see in February when these things start to happen, not in September. Then will the economy bounce back before then? Is that what everyone is hoping for? Businesses have to start planning that they may not survive. And you can either have an ordered shutdown or a disordered one. Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg welcomed the announcement. This initiative has been agreed with APRA, the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, which will provide the banks with extended regulatory relief so that they can continue to support their customers with greater flexibility during this time, he said in a statement. And people think we're in a free market. People think we're in a free market. It's funny. It really is. I mean, here's the thing. If the world just degrades into this socialist dystopian, adventure that seems to steadily be creeping up on us all over this century, at the very least, in 100 or 200 years, maybe 1,000, there'll be a revival of freedom. There always is. APRA has also provided relief to encourage the banks to restructure loans where possible as a way of helping these customers. See, here's the thing. They're not letting you get free. So the Victorian outbreaks are creating more uncertainty. Australia's major banks said many customers who deferred their loans at the beginning of the crisis had already started paying them back, although others, including those in Victoria, who were going back into lockdown, would need more help. While many customers are doing better than we expected, because some of them are probably getting paid more because of all the government support. We know that some customers will require further support, and we will be contacting them over the coming months to discuss the options that might be available to them, Commonwealth Bank CEO Matt Comyn said. ANZ CEO Shane Elliott said customers who had not yet asked for a 6-month deferral could still do so. I mean, let us know in the comments if you've had to depend on this. Is business coming back? Is work coming back? Or the scariest thing I would think is people are just putting their heads in the sand, depending on this and hoping everything will be okay, and not preparing or taking steps for it not to be. Cutting costs to the bone, seeing where they can save money, wherever they can, selling anything they can, getting people in to rent out rooms to reduce their cost. Doing it a bit tough for a period. I wonder how many people will be removed from private school. I would strongly encourage anybody uncertain about what the future holds, or those who have been hanging on up until this point, to get in contact with the bank, he said. NAB CEO Ross McEwen said recent outbreaks had created more uncertainty for customers, while those who needed it would get extra help. Others should start paying their loans back. I mean, this is the thing. The debt doesn't disappear. It's not a forgiveness. It's just added on to the end of it. You're still accumulating interest, everyone. This is going to extend your loan period. And it'll compound over the period of your loan. The deferral has provided some much-needed relief, but we are encouraging customers who can begin repayments to do so as soon as they can. It's in the customer's interest to repay debt sooner. And just think about this, everyone. The cash rate is at 0.25%. And people are struggling. People don't have enough reserves to get them through. I'm hoping They're taking advantage of this and setting money aside, building up an emergency fund. At least 6 months of their mortgage now, they've got this chance. Do you think they will? Or do you think I'm being too optimistic again because it's my morning coffee? And do you think in 4 months' time after September, they'll institute another 2 months extension for those people really struggling? This seems very similar to what happened in the States, where the banks received a lot of homes back, jingle mail, and they didn't sell them. They just sat on them because they didn't want to flood the market. This is the Australian version of it. What do you think, everyone? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can simply interact with the channel and help it grow. You can support us financially via joining us on YouTube or Patreon, using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin, buying our merch from HeiseSays, using Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or supporting us via PayPal. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.